Welcome to the AI for CRE Collective podcast. We got Matt Yellen on the call here. Super excited to have him. Matt is building Deal Manager AI. Super excited to jam on this stuff with him. Matt, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, likewise, Jake. Thanks for having me.
What else is on the roadmap? I mean, in the future, what should we expect with Deal Manager?
Yeah, so we currently have a lot of things we're working on, and we want to be smart about what we're delivering first. But I'd say that the next thing on the agenda is to be able to increase our underwriting capabilities to include hospitality.
What's a bold prediction for AI as it relates to commercial real estate? What's going to happen?
I think there's going to be a big fundamental shift in how people transact and evaluate real estate.
We're excited to see Deal Manager's progress. We're excited about the future of AI in commercial real estate. Welcome to the AI for CRE Collective podcast. We got Matt Yellen on the call here. Super excited to have him. Matt is building Deal Manager AI. Super excited to jam on this stuff with him. Matt, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, likewise, Jake. Thanks for having me.
Let's kick it off. Matt, tell us about the background. Tell us what got you to this point, and then we'll dig into the meat and potatoes.
Yeah, sure. So I've always been in real estate. I've owned real estate, worked for a developer in real estate, now currently building real estate. So I've kind of seen firsthand what real estate folk do. And so I really wanted to design a platform so that I and my team can be faster, smarter about doing real estate deals. And so Deal Manager AI really came out of the need for a small to medium-sized lean team, kind of like the teams I was working for and now currently work on, to be faster when it comes to underwriting deals, keeping track of things like documents, and of course, using AI to benefit the real estate industry. And so what we've done is we've designed sort of a tool set to allow all different types of people on the real estate team to be smarter, faster, and basically to be able to streamline a deal from start to finish.
Got it. Okay. Thanks for the description. If I'm a listener and still kind of wondering what Deal Manager is, maybe just give us the short sort of elevator pitch, like exactly what Deal Manager is, who it's for, what someone could expect when using it.
Yeah, so I'd say that Deal Manager is for really any team that wants to be in the weeds of really understanding a deal and where are the hiccups, where are the risks, and where are things that can be improved in a real estate transaction. And so what we've done is we've designed tools like our underwriting feature that allows you to be quicker, smarter about underwriting, like our chat that utilizes all different types of AI LLMs, as well as simple APIs, which give you real estate data when you need it. And basically other tools like scheduling a reminder, sending emails, so that if you're a broker, you can kind of keep track of your day-to-day, what needs to get done. If you're an investor, have I looked at my latest potential investment opportunities? Am I behind? What opportunity is worth it? What opportunity is not? So basically to be able to give anyone in the real estate team time back on their day.
And so you mentioned broker, you mentioned investor. Who are the other kind of target profiles and or users for something like Deal Manager?
Yeah, so I'd say that our primary audience is more or less brokerage teams that have either people on the team that they wish they had, like an analyst or more than an analyst, to kind of do some of the heavy lifting work. A lot of the mundane sort of like work that probably can be applied with AI. For small investor teams, a lot of teams are looking to underwrite faster. And so a primary audience is probably a team, of 10 or less that are looking to react faster. We've even talked to potentially like brokers from the lending space who are finding value in the platform. And then even we've talked to people that are looking to create their own fund. We've created tools for them. And then even like a family office that we're currently building custom automation tools to allow them to be fast and furious. So a whole different variety of people all in the real estate space.
What else is on the roadmap? I mean, in the future, what should we expect with Deal Manager?
Yeah, so we currently have like a lot of things we're working on, and we want to be smart about what we're delivering first. But I'd say that the next thing on the agenda is to be able to increase our underwriting capabilities to include hospitality. So we've had a number of people ask us about hospitality. We're still working on a multifamily development underwriting piece and trying to get that to where it should be. But in terms of next stages, we do have a slide module that allows you to create decks with AI. And we want to be able to give anyone who has a template, basically their own custom template, the ability to populate that with AI in seconds. So that's kind of a strategy we're employing. And then as far as other features, we're really honing in on the chat. Like the chat in the last week has been a lot of development, a lot of coding. So, of course, integrating more APIs. Right now we have three, but we want to get up to five so that our system has a lot of real estate enriched research that can really benefit
Are you able to
the
share
business.
like who those API providers are or where you're integrating from?
Yeah, so those three are Atom API, ATTOM, that basically provides property data, property research, parcel information. We're using Rentcast, which is multifamily residential API. And then recently, as of yesterday, we're using Lightbox CRE, which is kind of like a mix of both.
They're awesome, yeah. I use LandVision,
Yeah.
which I think is one of Lightbox's platforms, but
Oh, awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, we're looking at all of them.
What's been your experience with, integrating with some of these data providers? I know companies like CoStar or even Zillow, I mean, the big boys at least, they're not exactly being friendly about integrating, and I understand why. So maybe tell us what's been your experience and what do you think in the future? Is it gonna be a lot easier to integrate with some of those big data providers?
Yeah, so they do that on purpose. And, CoStar, for example, they do have APIs out there, but they're extremely expensive. And I know, in recent past, they've even sued people that are trying to kind of copy them. So I don't foresee a company like CoStar in the future really being, a easy provider of an API. But, quite honestly, I think there's going to be a lot of AI providers that already exist, like Deal Manager AI. They're trying to take advantage of APIs that are constantly updated, that obviously are in our space, the real estate industry, and that are available to, small technology teams that want to start, from scratch with something. And that's kind of what we've done. I think eventually, the bigger we grow, the more revenue, the more users we have, we'll be able to, of course, integrate with CoStar. But I think there's like a lot of hoops you have to go through with the likes of CoStar, LoopNet, et cetera. And they obviously are doing that on purpose.
Could you talk about what some of the users of Deal Manager have said, some of their feedback, and maybe more specifically, anything about quantifiable results or measurable results, like certain amount of time back, certain amount of money saved? And it's
Mhm.
okay to say you're not at that point yet. I know in the whole startup world, things move quick, and I know you guys just recently launched, but has there been any feedback from users about very measurable stats or data like that?
Yeah, we are early, but yeah, we do have feedback. I mean, we have, for example, an investment team that is underwriting industrial deals, and so they've really found value in using our underwriting platform for our industrial acquisition module. And so, in terms of time, it more or less allows them to be able to underwrite in less than 10 minutes using our software. We've also talked to people that are using like our LOI template, which is again like the last week or so it's available. So the idea is that saves at least 30 minutes to an hour of your time a day if you're generating LOIs, PSAs. And then of course, like we're still building features, but the idea is, for one of these custom automation features we're building for a family office, that they'll be able to 10x at least the amount of underwritings they're doing a month. So we're hoping to do that for them once that's available.
I'm sure at this point, people are probably wondering, like, what does Deal Manager look like? If I'm a user, what's sort of the workflow? Could we maybe do a quick screen share and you could show us a little bit of Deal Manager?
Of course.
Kick it off.
Yeah, sure. I'll share my screen.
Talk us through the workflow, right? You log in, what happens? Where do you
Yeah. Yeah. So the first thing that you'll see on the screen is that you log in and you basically can see all of your deals and you've kind of created in our AI chat. So you can kind of see all these deals on the screen. And the way it works is that if I clear, you can kind of see a better visual that basically you can start talking to the AI as if it was a personal analyst. You can ask it questions. If it's research specific, you can generate and edit images using our this feature, or you could just casually have a conversation like ChatGPT, right? Where you can just start talking to it. So, you can start getting into the weeds of like your real estate deal. This is an example deal we just pulled from LoopNet, and this is the LoopNet link right here. So this is an office space in Santa Monica. But anyway, you can basically start chatting with it, start using its features, as well as you can start uploading documents, right? So if you had some documents from the actual listing, which in this case we do have an actual document, we can, upload that. So the idea is that not only can you chat with it, but it also can be saved into your deal room and then your research library, which we can kind of get into, where you can start chatting with it, and say, for example, hello, what does this brochure tell me?
Let me ask you another question. So you mentioned you integrate with all the different LLMs. What
Yeah.
what would you say like each one's better at than the next?
Yeah, so great question. So I'd say that, ChatGPT by itself is probably the most versatile, the most general. So a lot of what we kind of tell our users, and also we're using an auto system, if you want to use our auto system, is that most of the questions you're going to ask, whether it be, in this chat underwriting, they're pretty much all 70% using GPT because they're very fast. GPT is very fast and very quick about this deciding what to use. Perplexity is good for general research. So if you want to know about a certain market, let's say Santa Monica, California, it's better to use Perplexity because it gives you valid resources. It can search the internet very fast. Claude is amazing at document parsing. So if you give it 10 different documents, an OM, T12, a lease, right, a 100-page lease, for example, ChatGPT does a decent job, but Claude is the one that can handle the most amount of what's called context. So the amount of, phrases and pages, etc. And of course, Gemini is, best at image generation editing. So we've kind of designed our algorithm depending on your question to, use which one that is the best for that certain scenario.
Let's maybe take a couple minutes, Matt, just to show us around the platform, the different tabs and stuff. And then I wanna roast you a little bit on just AI and real estate generally.
Sure. Yeah, you can roast away. So the second feature is what's called our deal intelligence room, and it's basically kind of like an internal Dropbox on steroids. So the way this works is that similar to Dropbox, you can see all your documents that you've kind of provided Dropbox, but in this sense, it's kind of using your documents and layering in AI to figure out what are these documents, how do they all relate to each other, and then you can kind of see that we've been able to find contact information, financial information, important dates, and then of course emails. For example, if you're an investor and you've emailed a broker, you can kind of keep track of those and vice versa. So that's why we have email history here. And then you could set notes, reminders, etc. And then similar to, our chat, you can, ask questions, summarize important documents, right? In the chat in this deal room. So it's a very easy way to kind of keep track of diligence, figure out what's needed, and then you can share this with a colleague and they can add to it.
Very cool.
Then we have our most talked about feature, which is our underwriting feature. And the way this works is that you can get started with a new deal and basically you provide information from the LoopNet link, files such as an OM, T12, etc. And then you tell it kind of what to do. Hey, I want to write this at a, 6 cap, what's the target vacancy or what's the target purchase price, whatever you need, and you can kind of tell it what to do. And then from there, what it's going to do is on the right allow you to communicate with the deal again as if it was an underwriting analyst. And then on the left, it's going to start populating everything from you, kind of everything from what you gave it. So if it's the rent roll, if it's do its best to find its rent roll and populate it. And then, of course, you can change things manually if you want to. And then from there, the coolest feature that we have, our underwriting feature, is that we connect to a real life Excel model. So all the data, all the numbers are coming from a real model. So you know it's not BS. You know how to find where the numbers are coming from, and this is what our model actually looks like. You just press this tab, you kind of see that we've built out. This case is an industrial acquisition, but the ability to use AI to populate our Excel model in real time.
And so this model here, this is a deal manager kind of static model, or can anyone upload their own model and then deal manager is going to use that?
Yeah, so great question. So right now it's our own model. And the reason for that is really two reasons. The first is that, obviously there's a lot of models out there in the world, and people want to upload their own model, but we've kind of designed a process to make it so that it's almost error prone, right? Because at the end of the day, the numbers are what matters. And the second reason is because it takes us just a little bit more time to do custom features like custom models. So the short answer to your question is it's our own model, but we are working on in the future to integrate with other people's models as well.
Cool. And I guess while we're on that subject, what's your thought about? I mean, look, analysts, the real estate industry as a whole is pretty stubborn in their ways, right? Like they like to underwrite their own using their own model. They like to look for comps a certain way. So, like, what's your theory on that, right? Like, are we getting to the point where people are becoming less stubborn, using these tools, being more interested in these tools, and kind of not necessarily abandoning their way of doing things, but, like, more sort of open-minded about stuff? What's your thought?
I've talked to 2 different types of people. I think, the younger you are, the more inexperienced, maybe the less skepticism you have to using AI and what it comes back with. But at the same time, those people that are less skeptical are able to do more volume. But I've also talked to people who are skeptical of the results of AI and obviously want to do the old-fashioned way. And so I think that as AI continues to get better and as we continually get better with what we're doing, we're kind of allowing, like, for example, we've thought of this to allow people to use their own research, their own ideas, and basically use AI to grab that information for them and apply it to the model, right? So that's why we have a research library. But the idea is that I think eventually AI will just continually get better and it'll start using, actual more or less. I mean, the idea is you can only get as good as your research and your data. And so I think the firms that can capitalize on getting as much data as possible and being able to use that with AI as opposed to using AI to find that data are going to be the best when it comes to evaluating real estate.
That's a really good point, and I totally agree. I think a lot of these firms are sitting on a gold mine of data, right? Data is king, and we're almost at a point where once you consolidate that data, synthesize it, be able to use it in ways you wouldn't or you previously didn't, it's going to change the game. And while like that's not really happening at scale at the moment, I think companies and groups alike are thinking about it, and we're in this period of the thinking and knowing and soon, fast forward to 2026, we'll be in this period of like proper implementation. When utilizing this data in just ways that I can't even describe it. Like I don't even know the words that really come to mind, but these companies are sitting on a gold mine of data. Think of these big institutions, right? And anyone listening to this, they've been doing this for 60, 70 years. Not that they have all the data from 60, 70 years ago, but they have an abundance of data from deals that they've done, from lenders that they've worked with, from equity providers, from track record and how deals are performed and comps, et cetera. And they're sitting on all this, but they're not using it in a way that kind of meets where we are with AI. And so soon when that intersects, I just think we'll be able to unlock efficiencies and value just out of this world. What's your thought?
I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, yes. I mean, the bigger you are, the more deals you've done, the you could say theoretically, the more easier it is to use your data to figure out what's to come next, right? And so I think that fundamentally every AI product should have the ability to leverage other people's data for them, right? The big thing is like, how is my data being used? Is it being used to train models? I get that question all the time. The answer in our platform, at least, is no. But the idea is that people want to be able to use their data. They think their data is obviously the most important thing to their company. And we at Deal Manager are trying to be able to give people that accessibility. And so, for example, if you go to our research library basically over here allows you right now to upload 25 deals. So it could be Excel models, it could be leases, it could be anything that is your data and allows you to basically leverage that in our software. So we're kind of taking the reins and kind of getting to that point, Jake.
What about privacy though? What about some, a big institution who is just so concerned about privacy and uploading data to platforms like Deal Manager? What do you say to someone or a company like that?
Yeah, and it's a really fair question. So the short answer is that, at Deal Manager, we do and use SOC 2 compliant databases, SOC 2 compliant backend. And basically we basically use the top tier technology. We also have, of course, APIs that are using AI. And so people are always concerned, is this confidential information being fed to AI? And then is that kept somewhere? Is that being trained? And so the cool thing about using APIs, if you look at all of these LLM documentation, is that your data is actually not being trained on, it's not being fed into, and it's not being kept in this AI component. So we've kind of showed that in our terms and conditions as well to kind of, show that we are basically taking every protocol necessary so that that isn't the case. And then I think eventually what we want to do is we want to get eventually SOC 2 compliant ourselves. And that's definitely a thing in the near future as we continue to take on bigger brokerages and bigger investment firms.
Got it. Well, we just have another minute here, Matt. So last question I have for you is what's a bold prediction for AI as it relates to commercial real estate? Think the next year, 2, 3. What's gonna happen?
I think there's going to be a big fundamental shift in how people transact and evaluate real estate. I think the people that are taking advantage of AI now, just like you and I and people on this listening to the chat here, they'll be that much faster in a year from now. I mean, taking advantage of AI right now is great, but I think in a year, we've seen so much shift in just GPT. I mean, it's gone from 3 to 4 to 5. And I think that the people who are taking advantage of AI now will be light years ahead of people a year from now because they'll just know how to use it. They'll have platforms like Deal Manager that are continually being upgraded and using the latest technology. And I think people will eventually win, bids, do really well in the actual real estate space as AI continues to evolve.
Cool. Yep, agreed with you. Matt, we enjoyed this. We're excited to see Deal Manager's progress. We're excited about the future of AI and commercial real estate. Thank you for hopping on and having this productive conversation with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for allowing me to be on this podcast. And if you have any questions for me, you can always go to our website, dealmanagerai.com, or you can send me an email at matt@dealmanagerai.com.
Cool.
Happy to chat.
We love it. Thank you, sir. We're rooting for you.
Yeah, thank you, Jake.